Hello, Peter. We're not live, are we? Okay. Which is so this is where we should add August too, right? Like to this event stage. How do I do that? Invite people to this channel? I'm just gonna send the link. I actually don't know if I have him on Discord. I mean, I feel like I could probably find him, but it was easier to find him in Slack than chatting on. I don't know. I don't. Oh shoot. Zach says we're live right now. I don't know. I hope I didn't say anything incriminating. This is why I'm so happy you're doing this.
Oh, I made a mistake. Because it's currently set to my headphones, it's replaying back what's in my headphones, and your voice is coming from my headphones. So they can hear you, they can't hear me.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. That's my fault.
Wait, so I'm just gonna repeat that in case they couldn't hear it. That everyone can hear me, but they can't hear you.
Oh,
because I'm coming out of your headphones.
Yeah, they can hear me now too, because I just enabled my microphone out of OBS.
But did you do that before you described to me what was happening?
Oh yeah, I didn't know that at first though. I just completely forgot that's how I have my recording set up right now.
Good times. Good times.
It's always a process.
So good.
So there is a fix for this. Yes, I know, you can hear me. The easy fix would be that I could adjust where my headphones are coming out of, and we can go from there. But it's honestly a little bit. It's okay. We can figure this out.
All good.
Yeah. Otherwise, we could just switch to just typing, because I'm sure we're both really good typers.
I'm so doing some last minute changes to my slides.
You're good.
The main thing is that I wanted to maybe test. Zach says I think you can hear it.
Yep.
I wanted to maybe test and see if you could hear the audio from my video. But I think we just test that with someone else. Like if I did a chat with someone.
Yeah. So as long as you're streaming it through Discord and it picks up through me and I can hear it, we'll be just fine. And I'm sure that's if it will work out that way.
Yeah.
You just gotta stream from that window.
I'm gonna leave you and go find someone to test that with.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, what's the schedule here? While we're live, what does the Eventbrite say? You said it starts at 6.
Yes, I saw the ticket. It said starts at 6, so I was like, okay.
That's not true, though. We never get started at 6.
Well, I figured
I think the official schedule, like actually on if you go to the Eventbrite page, which I probably find, but here we go. It says 6:15. Streaming will start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 6:15. Twitch stream opens. Virtual meet and greet. 6:45. Meeting intro. Monthly slides. And then 7:15 stuff. So that's the agenda approximate. The date and time of the event is 6, but I think that's kind of the holdover from the before time.
Gotcha. Well, I'm very happy to hop in early just to relax, set the mood for games and all these, and like just warm up the audience for you today.
We're here to chill and relax. That's you typing nice. Is it?
Yeah, that's me. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. I will be back. Obviously later. So have a good intro.
I will do so. Take care, Martin.
Virtual high five. Nice.
For those of you uninitiated in what is playing right now, we are listening to NSR, No Straight Road soundtrack. This is this Versus 1010 rocked version, which has separate artists for each rendition, because there's three tracks done for the game, and as you fight the boss, spoilers, the music track goes from EDM to rock, and that's awesome. So they had to write the same song, and they had 3 different artists tackle each individual track. And it's just a great testament to music design. NSR. So good, so good. We're actually just listening to a playlist on YouTube right now. Also, feel free to make any requests if you guys have any specific song you guys would like to hear live. So what's everyone been playing this month? I myself have been jumping into a little bit of what Alpha Beta Gamer has been using on YouTube, playing on YouTube, and I recently found Starbuster, and oh my god, it's a great prototype from 2019, almost a full year ago now at this point, but it was really spicy for a prototype. I played through it. I made a video about some developer commentary on it too, thinking about where I think they should go, but it was excellent. It has such a good Mega Man ZX feel to it. It was just a nice little snack. I just really wanted to. I really want to see that prototype expanded upon, because it was really good, really quality. Oh, Starbuster? Here, I'll get you a link. Yeah, it was actually September 20th, 2019 is when the prototype was published on Sonic Fan Games headquarters. SonicFanGamesHQ.com. It was, in terms of its like gameplay, it's very simple, very basic, but it incorporates all of what Mega Man ZX is in a very short snack, and it makes you want to see the end of it. In that, like, the two bosses you fight are like the standard, you know, big robot that has a huge gun and laser, but of course it's non-threatening to the player, but it just feels good to take it down and shoot it up. On top of the fact that like they have mods in the game with like little like you can make your gun twinge, like shoot in two different directions, give it fire, or make it a laser, and it's very simple, very elementary. But it shows the potential of what they know how to program and what kind of creativity they want to give to the player to create their own play styles to it. So, but it's very solid. It's a year old. That's my problem. Is that I wish I'd seen this sooner, because it's pretty good. Oh, is there another chat? Ah, yes. So you are discussing that there is a Discord for us. The Discord is actually in the channel right below. So you should be able to click the Discord link. We updated the Discord link. So you should be able to see. And I'm hanging out in the Minneapolis room, if you'd like to join me. However, if you do choose to join me in the voice chat room, you will be live on stream. So. Oh yeah, we're everywhere. Oh, there's a 2020. There's a Starbuster 2020 demo. What? Well, I know what I'm doing after the stream. I'm just wait. Oh, hold on. Oh, it's not downloadable yet. Is it? Where's the download link? Come on. Show me the download. Oh. Okay, so I just found this. So yes, this is probably one I'm going to play after this, after tonight. Oh, but there's no download. Oh, here it is. Ha! We found it. There is a download button. Well, I found what I want to play after this. See, this is kind of my favorite thing about doing for my favorite thing about games is basically play testing and finding games and finding all the cool stuff. Oh, see, I'm taking way too long to make my dream game. Because as I'm reading this is 100% what I was thinking about. Oh, you see, okay. So in the 2020 demo, they have two different playstyles. Yeah, so like, oh man, so I'm looking at oh, Lane, welcome to the chat, Lane. But yes, I'm looking at Starbuster 2020 here, and they have two different characters. They have your classic Mega Man Zero, but they have another character Cassie, it looks like, who has a grappling hook and plays with WASD and the mouse. And that is 100% what I wanted to do. I wanted to make a Mega Man Zero S style game with a mouse type aim and shoot, like a click and shooter. think like Flash Games thing from like the good old Flash game era, but like with the Mega Man Zero style and feel. Well, oh yes, this is Peter, by the way. Yes. I'm your host tonight on IGDA, because our main presenter will be Martin as we move into the main presentation with him. And who are you, Coder? You need to take off that mask. Reveal your true self. Hence the persona. Oh man, Persona had some really good music. Oh, it's Mike? Oh, dude. That's who you are, okay. See, everyone has all their different online monikers, and I'm just like, oh god, I have to remember your name and your online tag. Ah. I think it's really hard, honestly, to settle on just one online tag. It's tough. Like, I've been using the same one for a long time, but I feel like even for me, I feel like it's always I'm conflicted and I want to change my online tag, you know? Oh, this is still more. This is more. No Straight Roads. This is currently track versus DJ Subatomic Supernova. Yeah, No Straight Roads was this little bit of a weird, it's like a, I don't know, it's like a beat 'em up, but like a musical beat 'em up. And I guess I don't know, it didn't make as big a splash as I thought they would, but I'm really enjoying it because the soundtrack is just great. Oh yeah, so I'm under the moniker of Zeta Viker normally. So no one knows what Zeta Viker means, Lane. No one even knows. I know, right? So yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like, this is really good before conference music. You know what they say? Video game music is often really good to listen to when you want to focus on something, because the music itself is designed to be background music, so that the player could focus on focus on the task at hand. Because like you can totally envision like fighting out baddies with a guitar and drumsticks, and having this be playing in the background. It's perfect. that one weird game with the ferret in space. Yeah, I don't know, man. That game was a little weird for me. It was almost too cute. Widget something. I don't know, man. Yeah. That's close. It's close enough. Who's Mark? Yes, it's Widget Satchel. We all know what Widget Satchel is. Oh yeah, so Widget Satchel is really peaceful. It's actually one of my favorite things about Widget Satchel is that it's just a fun wonky game. Like it's a game to like go cause chaos. Mike Perrier. Who is this Mike? Who you speak of? Oh man, see, this part of the song is really good for the boss fight because it changes drastically mechanically. Oh man, yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed that last segment of this boss fight versus DJ Subatomic Supernova. It has it's got that rhythm heaven fever. It's got that rhythm heaven fever game mechanic in there. Mac Bubbly! Yo, Mac Bubbly! That guy, he's a cool guy. Mac Bubbly's a cool guy. So, if this song sounds familiar, it's because it is the same song versus DJ Subatomic Supernova, except it is the EDM version. Because as you're fighting the boss, if you take too many hits, the music shifts over to this EDM version. However, if the more you defeat the boss, it will switch over to a rock version. It's very good. It's very good. Oh yeah, are you kidding? Yes, dude. There are 100% books written about video game music design, and also like what makes a good boss fight. Like there's a lot of factors in boss fights. I'll be real. To bring up Starburster, that prototype I was talking about earlier. One of the first bosses you fight is literally this huge robot with a giant gun. Like it's outrageously big. But of course, the boss, it's the first tutorial boss, so it's not supposed to be so it's supposed to be very, very daunting and scary. But since it's a big boss, it still looks like it's still like not as what is it? It's very easy to beat because he's big and clunky, and you're just Mega Man character who's small and who's like quick and can dodge things. So it's a very good feeling that like you get to beat this giant robot and he dies, and it's really great. And most final bosses are sometimes on a smaller scale and way more threatening. Oh yeah. Yeah, you guys should just take a look at it. It's No Straight Roads. Go take a look at it. I'm just giving it a shout out because I love this. I love the soundtrack. It's very good. Oh man, it's almost 6:40. Oh my god. See, I could just sit here and DJ all night, man. Yeah, I'm just listening to No Straight Roads OST on YouTube. That's all it is right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch over to the rock version. So you guys have been listening to this EDM version, and we'll skip over to the end of it. So here's like the ending of this track. We'll type it in the chat. No Straight Roads OST. So the music's getting. Yeah. So this is when this is the music that plays when you're losing, and then now we'll switch over to the rock. So here's the rock version, because thematically, story-wise in the game, you want to bring rock back to the city that's been taken over by EDM. That's effectively it. And the game doesn't take itself super seriously, so I think it rocks that very well. It's apparently on everything. Yes, that is correct. Classic EDM, or just classic, just like electronica music has that nice simple bass. Yeah, no, that's the premises of the game. And like, I think one of my favorite parts about the game is like musically, each of these 3 tracks is done by a different artist, and it's so like well composed between all three artists. Oh, Mr. Adventurologist 9000, welcome to the chat.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, I remind you, you are live on stream. As they mute the microphone, that's okay, I get it.
Well, you don't want to mess up the stream.
No, happy to chat with you, my friends. This is that pizza time where we're here to relax and just game and stuff. Talk games.
Well, weird, this weird delay between here and Twitch.
Oh, 100%. I actually record and stream with the included delay. That's how I normally stream. And since I'm hosting today, I have not removed it. You gotta have that buffer for safety, you know? I don't know. You can, in case I need to pull the plug. In case you say something unruly and outlandish. See, just look. Listen to how great this rock soundtrack is, guys. It's fabulous. Again, this is all done to the same melody, the same tunes, the same chord changes and chord shifts, but just done with rock, EDM, and then of course it's like standard electronica. But it's just so well done. Oh. Oh. Hey, welcome, Mr. Gaff. Your microphone's a little low, my friend. Oh, okay, I see. Your microphone's picking up the stream. You might want to wear some headphones. It really helps.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a way to... Should we be delaying or muting the Twitch stream? Because we'll end up getting two audios.
Yeah, as long as you're... if you're using headphones, you'll be fine. But if you have your sound on and your microphone's recording, it will sometimes pick up on itself. And so we will get feedback that way. Otherwise, if you're just using headphones, you can leave your microphone on and it'll be just fine. You wouldn't have to mute the stream. But you will be hearing it twice because you're in chat with me. But once we move to the actual main event, which will be very soon here, you will be just fine. That was DJ Subatomic Supernova. The bunk bed interlude. Aw, thank you for the follow. I saw you. I don't quite know how to say your name. Somebody just followed us. I don't remember who you are, but I wanted to thank you. Thank you for following. Durba durba doo wah. Durba 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 doo doo wah. Ciponis, yes, it was you. It was you. Thank you. Thank you for the follow. Alright, folks. I'm gonna hop over to the event stage. We are gonna get ready here. Alright, okay, let's move on to our main event. Looks like everyone's getting ready for this. Let's go. And where is it? Where is it? Present. Huzzah! There we go, folks. Welcome, welcome, one and all, to IGDA, the local Twin Cities chapter. I'm gonna quick pull these over here. I need my Discord access to it. Yes, we are moving right on. I'm waiting for the stream to catch up a little bit here. I know. I had this 30-second I had this 30-second delay. And that's going to be a little weird for some people, but I think we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Moving into this slide, welcome. Introduction, welcome slides. Welcome slides are going to be exactly what these are. And an official presentation will be starting at 7:15, which will be our very own Martin Grider. Excited, everyone. Excited. Okay. So we are here to welcome new folks. Welcome our first timers. If anyone, if this is your first time, say hello in chat, and we'll make sure to give you a nice warm welcome, thumbs up, and all that jam. But we aim to be a safe and inclusive community for game developers and aspiring developers. You can read our code of conduct at that link there. And normally this would be the part where we applaud the nerdery for buying us pizza, but that's been a while. It's been a while since we've been in person, so I miss that moment where we all cheered for the free pizza we got. But hopefully soon. These are our board members. There are many of them. Oh yes, there are many of them here in chat. But if you have any questions, you can reach out to any one of us. And those slides are also available here on the lower left. These are always available online, so you can reach out and check them out there. And we got, all right, cool. Also, yes, welcome C-Pawns. Glad to have you here. Yes, but you have questions. Martin Grider is the one who organizes speakers. We have Zach, who also handles the VR chat. And then we have everyone else who's available here. Here is our calendar. We generally do events on every Wednesday, as you can see here. The main meeting is going to be the first Wednesday of every month. The second Wednesday, let's run through this. Second Wednesday every month. It's about 6:15 to 9 p.m. Location is generally Twitch. The next meeting will be Tire Books and Wallride Games. That's exciting. Next Wednesday is going to be the Twin Cities playtest. It's the third Wednesday every month. And we generally meet on Twitch here. And we're always looking for games. So if you have games that you want playtested or that you want to have basically put out there and have like developers like us run through it and give you feedback, feel free to reach out to us because we are always looking for games, always looking for stuff to play. The fourth Wednesday of every month is the Minnesota VR and HCI. Again, location is going to be Altspace and Twitch. And the next meeting looks like Bradley Bellins will be talking about his big orange dance machine. Which sounds amazing, actually. But yes, they actually do their meetings through Altspace VR, and it's really cool because, of course, that it simulates more of like an in-person meeting because people are able to use a headset and like interact with things around them, and you can also see the other attendees around you, and it's felt pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. I watched the videos and stuff and I don't have VR myself, but I was like, oh, this is just really fun to rewatch the VODs. Well, yeah, moving on. And here it is. Here's the next slide is exactly this. Look at this. This looks like an old school meeting where we used to be in person, laughing, talking with each other. Those were the good days. Oh yes. Oh, and here's Twin Cities playtest information. A new monthly event. Gasp! We've been holding these public playtests. Yes, excuse me. Holding these public playtests, and you actually can do this multiple ways. As an attendee, just feel free to join us on Twitch. If you want to playtest, though, we do use Parsec. And Parsec is a slick little remote access app in which players can, of course, join us playing through Parsec. You can also, if you are a developer, want to showcase your games, send us a build. Again, reach out to us between Mark and Pete, myself. We'll be happy to have your games. And I did not know you could do Allspace with no headset. That's actually pretty interesting. I will have to look into this. Also, yes, you can connect with us here. We have a Slack channel in the MSB Gamedev Slack. We also have an email, or you can tweet at us with ideas or feedback suggestions. There's also a feedback button right below the Twitch stream, right down there. If you have any feedback or any ideas, or even like if you know somebody who wants to do a talk or has some games that want to play test or anything else like that, feel free to just drop it right there in the feedbox pack, or just type it in chat, and one of the mods or one of the people who are in here can catch it there. And of course, like I said, it leads right to the next slide. There are always presenters wanted. So if you have if you have something, would you like to present? Is there something you think that would make a good presentation? Feel free to reach out to us. What? There's an experimental Allspace client they released for Burning Man. That is intriguing. I will again. So, man, I already figured what I wanted to play after tonight. Man, you're giving me more things I want to do. There's not enough time. Oh, yes. And our parent organization is IGDA, the world's largest membership association for game developers. If you register for our membership, let them know that the Twin Cities is your chapter. Benefits include, of course, you get some discounts toward conferences and more information there. But apparently, if you let them know that we're your chapter, we get something like a little kickback. Otherwise, there's also other things that we can do, or they can do for you. Again, this is underneath these benefits here. Twitch, yes. So these are this is a slide just explaining what these online streams are going to be like. They're all works in progress. So it's going to be a little bit new for us. But after every meeting, we normally would go to like Joe Sensors and have like a little bit of a hangout time afterwards. But what we'll be doing today is maybe after chatting tonight after the presentations, we'll be going on and maybe go and play some games. We'll figure something out. We'll discuss it in the Discord or in the Twitch stream and figure out what we want to do afterwards. But also, always, feel free to reach out to us on our website and see if you're interested in joining us. Again, Discord link in the Twitch below. Plugs and announcements. We have a community calendar here. icecold.games for access areas. We tweet at Zachary Johnson. And they'll be able to get you a login to edit some of this information. It's really cool stuff. It's a community calendar, so it is run by people who just basically have signed up and created events and things like that. So if you want to put your information up there, or you have a cool event going on, feel free to put it up. Tweet at Zachary Johnson, and he'll get you a login to go ahead and add that to the calendar. It's very cool. Twitch chat announcements. Oh yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. Has anyone released a game since last meeting? Feel free to put that stuff up. Or if you're looking for a group, or you're looking for collaborators work, or if you know someone's hiring, which would really be nice. Or if you have other announcements, like any new progresses, prototypes, and things like that, feel free to post that into chat now. So you guys are going to be doing just fine. I will say I don't have anything new yet, but if you guys have events, yes, this is something I was going to actually ask for. If anyone in the Twitch chat knows any like Minnesota, not necessarily conventions, or what's what I'm looking for, like almost like just get-togethers, but like even digital ones, like digital conventions, like 2DCon just last week, wow, just had their online convention, and that was really fun. I had a great time like hosting and being a part of that one. So if there's other events that you guys know that are coming out like that, feel free to let us know, because we want to be a part of that, or at least I would like to be a part of those events and helping out any game developers in there and helping them know that there are still online events to be a part of. So if you guys have anything you want to announce and plug, go ahead, post it in chat, and we'll be happy to take a look at it. And also, connect the community. That's another thing we're doing. Yes. And moving into the presentations. Oh, we're going to go with presentation. Presentation 1. Presentation 1 will be going to August. And I believe he is already here in the event stage. How are you doing today, August? I'm going to go ahead and can I unmute you? I cannot unmute you. And I was right. You are the wizard. Gosh, I don't. Was that Wizard Fireball? Wizard Ball? I'm trying to think of what your name is. Oh, yeah, yes. We had to give you that role. You can unmute yourself now, I believe. August, you can unmute yourself. It's okay. We're, of course, experiencing our usual technical difficulties, which again brings us back to our previous slide about how this is still a new thing for everyone to practice and work on. But if I can figure out, can I unmute him? No, I can't unmute him. Well, maybe I'll just call him directly. Let's go for that. Rude Awakening. Hello, August.
Hello.
How are you doing, my friend?
Great. Sweet.
Fabulous,
So
fabulous.
I should just present here.
Yep, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you just fine. If you want to go ahead and share your screen, I'll go ahead and project that onto the stream.
Cool.
Pop out. Boom. Full screen, and you are live, my friend.
Awesome. Sweet. So, my name's August. I'm a producer for small indie publisher Armor Game Studios, and I'm gonna talk about Steam page optimization, which is like all my talks at IGDA about the unfun side of game development, more businessy, and this is a very very light primer on things you should consider when jumping into what you should do to optimize your game on Steam. The most the biggest thing I would say with this talk is this is just like super intro. If you've even launched a game on Steam before, is that better with my volume? Okay. Sweet. So yeah, this is going to be like really introductory. If you've launched a game on Steam before, there's a good chance a lot of this won't be new to you. But if you're looking to launch your first game, or maybe even if you've done a few launches, hopefully something in here will be new. And this talk is specifically about your store page optimization. It's not about marketing. It's not about branding. All that stuff goes into this, but this talk isn't telling you how to do that stuff. So, with that said, the big thing with Steam is there's this big algorithm where you shove GIFs and store text and capsule images into it, and somewhere outside it spits out wish lists for you. And as you interact with Steam, and as lots of people do, we don't know exactly what this algorithm does. We don't know what goes into it. And because we don't know exactly how that interacts, we don't even really know like what exactly the inputs do to like go through this mystery black box and then spit out wish lists and sales and whatever. But actually, we have everyone working together in this game space, really smart developers and publishers, like have a pretty good idea of how it works, kind of. And what we're gonna do today is look at our best guess around how the Steam algorithm works through the lens of funnel analysis. For those without much of a marketing background, funnel analysis is something that's really common in marketing. It's basically looking at if you get all these users at the top of the funnel, like in this case, like users on Steam, like every Steam user is at the top where it's widest. Some of those users will see your game, so it gets a little narrower. Other ones who see your game, some will click on it to see your store page. Of those, some will buy your game, and it gets narrower and narrower. And the whole point of funnel analysis is just optimizing your funnel so that stays as wide as possible at each step. Because if a user never sees your game, they can never buy it. So what we're going to go through today is going through the different steps of kind of a very introductory look at Steam funnel analysis. So the first place that will end up is people will see your game on Steam. This Steam surfaces your game in a lot of different places, and we'll look at a few in specific. The next thing that happens is hopefully they see your game. It looks interesting to them for various reasons, and they click on it to go to your store page. And then hopefully they like what they see on that store page and they buy their game. And that's like the entire funnel that we'll be looking at right now. And then we're making money and games and everything's great. So first things first, we're going to look at how to get people to see your game in the first place. When Steam, there are a lot of different places, as I said, that Steam surfaces other games, but the one I'll look specifically at right now is if you go to just any game on Steam, you see all of this store information at the top. You scroll down, and you get to the bottom above the reviews, and you see this more like this little section. And this is, in my experience, at least, strives for probably a plurality of visits from within Steam itself. And Steam is pushing towards more of a games like this push over the last several years. And this is where optimizing for this is a really good place to start when trying to get more eyes on your game. So if we look into it a little more, the way that Steam knows that Littlewood or Forager are like Stardew Valley is, again, this whole black box of an algorithm, but we do know it boils down to tags on a very real level. And so tag analysis is something you all should be doing with your games, and it's probably the single most important thing you can do on Steam, aside from like not having a garbage page with bad assets, is just making sure your tags work well. And we'll look into what that looks like. So if you look at, for this example, Stardew Valley, it lists all these tags. And one thing I would definitely note is the tags are not in a random order. Steam, and we know that Steam gives preference, more weight to tags the further up their list they are. So if you look at the things at the top, Farming Sim, Life Sim, RPG, those are the things that most accurately describe Stardew Valley. And as you look at these other games, they will often have a lot of the same ones, but they'll have different orderings. And so Stardew Valley's list will refer a bunch of games, but when you're on Forager's page, you'll refer a slightly different game because of its own tags and its own prioritization. And I will put a little footnote here, is a lot goes into this referral algorithm than just what tags you have up. A big part of this, from what I know, or at least what I understand, is how much traffic a page is getting organically. So if you look at all the games being referred to from Stardew Valley, each of those games has already like sold thousands and thousands and thousands of copies, and they are getting more preference in the algorithm because they're driving a lot of users into Steam. Steam won't refer your game to other users if you're not driving any users to Steam yourself organically. Anyway, back to tags. So once you have a good idea of what comparable games are out there in the space, and that's the absolute first step, is see what games do I want to be referred from. If you're making a farming game, Stardew Valley is a lofty goal. It'd be awesome to be like one of the first games referred to there, but without a ton of users in the first place, it's very competitive. So I would start looking at kind of middle uh, uh, games with moderate success, but not necessarily like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of copies sold. Look at what they're doing with tags and model your tags off of them. The Steamworks team this summer released this awesome tool called the Tag Wizard that basically does a lot of this for you. It lets you put in like kind of what you're looking at. It tells you what games will likely be referred from. Not necessarily that you would be able to be referred from Portal, for instance, because again, that organic quotient factors in, but it lets you know, like, oh, it's like going to suggest games that aren't exactly like my game at all. The users coming from those games won't be qualified users for my game. I should change my tags to better reflect like what my game actually is and what games I want to be referred from. And the other awesome thing this does is it lets you reorder your tag list, which until they added this, you'd have to do like really crunchy manual, like multiple accounts, adding and deleting tags and stuff, and it was garbage. So use the tag wizard. You can Google it. It's awesome. So once you have all your tags set up and you successfully have some marketing going and you're having like people see your game, the next step is getting your game clicked on by these users and having them want to learn more. So again, this goes back to those images we saw earlier. These are called the small capsule images in Steam. And these are the first place you should look for improving your funnel going into everything up until actually selling your game. As far as I know, it's not actually shown anywhere on your Steam page, but this is the most frequently shown item anywhere on the Steam store. So when you're looking to optimize, it'll obviously, or most usually be displayed something like this. This is the more like this capsule at the bottom of Stardew Valley. It'll show up in search lists, it'll show up in genre listing and whatnot, but it all looks kind of similar to this no matter where you go. And my big tip for this is when you're designing this capsule art, don't just like design in Photoshop and you're like, oh, that's my icon or that's my logo. That looks great. Awesome. Take a screenshot of this page and overlay every bit of marketing art you do on where it's going to show up and make sure that it makes sense there. So let's say we are making a farming game called Growing Season, and we want to market it on Steam. What I would do is make my capsule art, throw it in this screenshot, and make sure that it like fits in. It's this fine line of you want to make sure that it fits in with everything else because you want to make sure that qualified users assume that like this is a game they'd like. So it has to be familiar, but it has to stand out compared to the other logos. And the only way you can do that is by like mocking it up yourself. If you go for like really wild logos that don't fit your aesthetic at all within the game, your traffic is going to be garbage because even if your game is like really wholesome and whatever, if you don't represent that game accurately, even if it does stand out on this page, that's not necessarily a good thing because it's standing out for the wrong reasons. So if you finally like come to a bunch of iterations, you're like, hey, this looks great. It represents my game accurately, but it also will appeal to people who like things like Littlewood and Terraria, but it kind of stands on its own. You are then at a good place to move on kind of to the next part of the funnel. And that is getting people to actually buy your game. So for this, it is a lot of the more kind of crunchy store optimization stuff. And while I pointed at like the Tag Wizard and a few other things that Steam is actively doing a great job, honestly, improving on being able to optimize your place on their storefront, optimizing your actual Steam page is something that they still don't have the best tools for. So unfortunately, it's still like some guesswork. We do know a bunch of things, and that's mostly from just general marketing, website design, any kind of graphical design. The stuff that is more graphical in nature and towards the top of the page, is the stuff that has the biggest effect on whether or not someone converts into buying the game or wishlisting the game or whatever your call to action is. So if we look at this screenshot, the things that jump out are making sure that your large capsule image, that's the one in the top right, conveys the tone of the game accurately, but still is unique. The short description, which is that text underneath it, is relatively important, especially compared to long description, which is buried a bit under the page. Your trailer is extremely important because it's the first thing that autoplays, and then your first several screenshots. And then as you go down and like to the long description and whatnot, I haven't seen anything to convince me that iterating on different versions of your long description really matter. I do think doing things like putting appealing GIFs in matter, but as far as like spending hours like refining your copy on the text on that page, there are much better things you can do with your time. And similarly for the screenshots, I would be very surprised if screenshot number 7 ever sold a game for anyone. If you're looking at your screenshots, focus on your first 3 to 5. Make sure those are, I keep saying this, highly representative of your game, and highlight the most defining aspects. Something I keep kind of glancing off of in this talk that I, one, am not qualified to talk about, but also don't have the time to talk about in the constraints of this talk, is brand building. And all of this, from setting like what tags describe my game to what kind of logo should most accurately describe my game to what text I'll use in my short description to pitch my game, is all flirting with brand building rather than being strictly just like App Store optimization. And that's a whole other topic that you also need to be very good at in order to be successful with your store building. And then once you have all that in place, it's time to iterate. No one ever gets it right on their first time. And even if you do like have killer assets the first time out, most indie games don't release for years, and your market positioning is going to shift underneath your feet over the course of that time. So it's super important to continue to iterate on your assets and respond to changes in your genre and the store as a whole. The Steamworks team also this summer, as part of their labs program, released the artwork override tool, which is super awesome. The intention of it is mostly that you can upload like capsule images for some kind of special event or something, set a timer, and then it expires. The thing that I love it for is that you can like run a capsule image as a test, go into Google Analytics, which you hook up to your Steam page, set a flag in there and say like, on this date, I changed, started testing the capsule image for my large capsule image or something to variant E. Save that, set a date for the future for when it will end, and then the artwork override tool will change your capsules to whatever you want them to be, including localized versions if you have that. Run that through your end date and then automatically end it. And then you can set that up in your Google Analytics, or Steam has some of it internally on their own platform for reviewing like where traffic is coming from. It's not a true A/B test. Any data scientist will dry heave, I'm sure, as I describe this. But without more sophisticated tools to actually do honest A/B tests, this has been, at least in my experience, the best way to kind of approximate this. You, with very small gains like what you would get from like changing the store text, I don't think you're going to see appreciable results with this. But for things like changing your small capsule art to improve the top of your funnel with getting people to click through, I definitely think if you let it run for maybe 2 weeks, depending on the volume of how many people are visiting your store page, you can see some definitive results and do some optimization there. For instance, you could test these 3 very good small capsule images for your growing season game. Yep. And so, in summary, basically, when you look at the top of the funnel on getting people to see your game in the first place, research comparable games you want to be referred from. There are a lot of really good tools out there. Don't just shoot for the top. If you're making a farming game, I guess, don't just look at Stardew Valley and My Time and Portion, games that have sold hundreds of thousands of copies. Unless you think you are a game that's going to sell hundreds of thousands of copies and those are your direct competitors, look at where you expect to end up, because those are the ones you'll be compared to. There are a lot of really great tools for this, and I'll talk about some of them in a minute. Optimize your tags. Use the tag wizard. It's awesome. And then go in and update your tags. Set a reminder every 3 months to check out your tags, check out your competitors, have their tags changed, take screenshots on what your competitors have done and what you're hoping to comp against, and change your tags. New games will get introduced to the store. Some games will blow up, or like you think they were a good comp for your game and they will fizzle for whatever reason. You should update your tags. Getting people to click on your game, build out marketing assets based around those games that you're targeting, mock up screenshots with those placements and make sure that your capsule images make sense in context. And then when you're actually optimizing your store page itself, start with the highest impact store assets like the trailer, first couple of screenshots. Use that artwork override tool and experiment as often as you can. And continue to iterate on your branding as you get new versions of your game that show off new systems or graphical updates or whatnot. Update your Steam page. Anytime you have a major thing in your updating your game, especially in development before it's released, and you're like, whoa, this looks great. Update the GIF on your main Steam page, update a screenshot, update something, because you can't do that enough. This was a really condensed primer. There's so many people really a lot smarter than I am who are focusing on this a good deal. And unfortunately, this part of game development is super, super duper important. So I would urge everyone, if you're releasing games on Steam, to reach out to a few resources. The Game Discovery Now newsletter is by the guy who until last week ran GDC. It's super good. It's every week and it hits on different points on for a long time it focused on Steam, but it has branched out a little bit now. But it is you can go to the web page and it has its full history there, and sign up for the newsletter. It comes in weekly. GameDataCrunch.com is kind of like Steam Spy, but uses public data. It's super early. It's down half the time. But the guy, Lars Doucette, who's making it, is incredibly smart. And this is the kind of resource that I would love to use when I'm looking at, like, what games should I base my comps off of. The article, How to Get the Most Out of Your Game Steam page on GameIndustry.biz, is super on the nose. And it interviews a lot of really smart people in this space about what they do for optimization. And then the thing I flirted around with but never touched on around branding and building a brand. Meredith Hall put out what is probably one of my favorite game-related Medium articles ever about, like, how to build a brand for your game. And it is super good. It goes about, like, how do I pitch my game? How do I, like, build graphical assets? How do I position my game? Branding, you can't do good optimization on your store if you don't have a good brand to optimize. So if you don't know how to do that, and even if you do or think you do, read that article. It's amazing. And these are just some people on Twitter who tweet about this kind of stuff a lot. Simon used to run GDC, and he does the Game Discovery Now newsletter. He's super smart. Mike Rose runs No More Robots, and he tweets out about game business stuff a lot and talks a lot about wish listing and whatnot, and he's a good follow. And then Lars cares about discovery stuff very much. He worked on the Steam team for a little bit, doing their Steam page stuff, and he is building out GameDataCrunch.com right now, and it's looking really good. And that's it.
Well, thank you very much, August. Oh my goodness. I immediately actually went to that How to Build a Brand handbook by Meredith. I'm like, oh, this is really interesting, actually.
Everyone in games needs to read that a dozen times.
Yeah,
It's super-
I'm actually gonna like copy paste this and send it to my team real quick
Oh.
because it's pretty good.
If anyone wants to screenshot this page, this is good information. Otherwise, I'll post it in Discord or something.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna give this a quick click onto Twitch here. Like, this is great here. Boom, that one right there. That Meredith, how to build a brand handbook. It's fabulous. Oh my goodness. Okay, thank you so much, August. Do we have any questions in chat? I noticed that there was one question earlier about using the Steam tag wizard. Is it auto pick or is it or do you fill it in yourself?
It will
Pick list or self entry. That's what it was.
you can enter tags yourself.
Okay, cool.
But it will do recommendations and stuff.
Got it. Okay, so it does both. That's great.
Yep.
Yeah. They have a build a
And you
brand.
can always enter like tags you can just go to your Steam page and enter tags yourself, and it will know you're a developer and give them weight for
Okay,
it.
very cool. Yeah, I mean, if there's not any more questions, I mean, I'm taking a look at chat here, making sure I didn't miss anyone. But oh my goodness, like.
And I can hang around in chat and respond in chat if people have questions.
Yes. And again, if you're also, oh goodness, do you have these slides available online somewhere?
They could be, sure.
Just in case
Yeah, I'll
people
post them in Discord.
Yes, perfect.
Cool. Right.
Excellent. Okay, well, thank you so much, August. I think we're gonna take a little. Why don't we do 5-minute intermission here? That'll be 7:30. Once we get back at 7:30, we will continue on with the show. We have a 5-minute intermission. Did I close it on my YouTube music? Oh, I was gonna go back to. Come back here, music. Oh, this is perfect. We will be right back in 5 minutes. The soundtrack is way more peppy than the other NSR playlist stuff that I'm listening to. And yes, we are in fact recording. Thankfully, Twitch records everything. And we are back. Let's see. Martin! Oh, that was actually great timing. Look at that. Oh, never mind. Do not go to old slides. Martin. Martin, you're muted, my boy.
The unmute button looked like it's very easy to it says it's very easy to get confused between the disconnect and the unmute button.
Yep.
I think we might be on the stream right now, or are we on the stream right now?
Oh yeah, we're on stream.
Okay.
I know. I've recorded with a delay.
Nice.
I know.
Yeah, it's confusing, and I need to like turn off my Twitch watching. I can't tell if you're saying this in real time or like.
Oh, focus on the now, Martin.
Okay. All right. I've muted the Twitch stream.
There you go.
I'm in the moment. Although apparently I'm actually in the future. I'm in the future.
You are in the future. They'll be seeing this in
my
30
God.
seconds.
30 seconds in the future.
About.
Yeah. So I want to present my slides. How do I do that?
Just go ahead and share screen with me. Right through Discord. I'll mute myself and you'll have control.
I gotta make sure that they're full screen. I don't know if that's even gonna. I don't know how this is gonna.
It'll translate.
Okay, I don't know how to share my screen with you. Okay.
Yep, there you
Maybe
go.
I
Perfect.
do. There's me.
That's you. That's your camera.
Hey everybody.
That's our Martin. One and only.
Yeah, it's super dark in here, so I guess I'm kind of terrible.
No, you're
for
fine.
actually doing me. Okay, I'm sharing the screen, and I want to do this guy. So here's the thing. I think I should share my whole screen because eventually I do want to show a video,
Oh, okay, yeah.
and it's not embedded in the thing.
Yeah.
But
So
how do I even find my whole screen?
you basically share a window.
Entire screen.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're probably not seeing what I'm seeing right now. Okay, let's try it. Did you go live?
There you go. Yep.
Whoa. So, are you just seeing my screen, or are you seeing me and my screen?
It's currently you and your screen.
Me
There you
and
go.
my screen.
So now I can
Now
see
is it just
Drive.
the screen?
Yep. Now it's just dark.
Okay.
Yep.
Now it's just the screen. All right. Well, are we getting started? Are we doing this?
Yeah, dude. It's 7:30. Let's roll, baby.
All right.
It's all you.
Cool. Welcome everybody. Hey, how's it going? I'm Martin Greider. This is the Thrive box art. I'll talk more about this in a little bit. It's such a cool image, though. I'm gonna gush about Shirley later, but essentially Shirley Gong was the artist for this project. I can still hear you, Peter. Just FYI, you might want to go ahead and cough. I don't know. Okay. All right. This is a talk about Thrive. Thrive is a board game that I designed, and here are some images of the final product, which is like right now actually being shipped to people. So especially in Europe, backers in Europe are getting the game. I've seen a number of posts of people saying they received it. I know one person personally who like posted that he got his game on, I don't know, I think it was Monday, and then played a game yesterday. He was great about it. He lives in Paris. It sounds like, according to Adam, my conversations with the publisher, the U.S. shipments are still about a week, maybe 2 weeks out. These are photos that I took. I have an early copy, so that's exciting. But this is this art right here is of the like kind of final manufactured version. So pretty exciting for me anyway. Like here's a board game that I made, and it's like it's a physical thing in the world. It's exciting. So I was an abstract strategy board game. I designed it. It's for 2 players, so it's kind of chess-like. Here's Kim and one of her students playing at Protospiel in, I think, 2019. Yeah, it had to have been 2019 with this art. So I was also I'm making a digital version of the game for mobile devices. It'll come out first for Android and iOS, and it was built in Unity. I'm not going to talk too much about how it was built, but I will talk a little bit about sort of the nuts and bolts of what I built. It is definitely still very much in progress, although as of this week, there is a test flight version for iOS beta users, beta testers, and there's an APK that I'm happy to hand out like candy to anyone who wants to try it out. I also think of it as a game system. So this is kind of new. I haven't really talked publicly about this yet. And it's not like so there's an entry on Board Game Geek for Thrive. You can go like it or rate it 10. But it doesn't really say that there's multiple ways to play really on there at all. And I haven't really published any of the multiple ways to play. That's coming sort of in, like I wanted to kind of wait for it to be real, wait for it to have it in the world. But I have 3 like solidly very different games that I think are all pretty good, that are not like the real game, or the game that's, or I guess there's only 2 solid like games that are play tested and I think really cool. And in addition to kind of the original version. And what's interesting is that the original version also has like a ton of variations. So you can set up the pieces differently. You can well, there's an expansion which I'll talk about in a little bit that like makes that base game actually have a ton of different ways to play as well. So how do you play it? Like the base version, the version that ships in the box. What are the rules? These are the entire rules. They fit on one page. Essentially, I can teach people to play in about 30 seconds. You move a piece according to its pegs. Then you add 2 pegs to any of your pieces. And then you capture pieces by landing on them. So that's the chess-like piece. And if your opponent has only 1 piece remaining after you capture it, you win the game. So the last person to kind of have more than 1 piece on the board is the winner. The peg movement is kind of the main like difficulty with the game or with teaching the game. Essentially, and I'll talk about that right now. So I was going to talk about that right now, but actually it's in a couple slides. I'll just mention it briefly. So essentially the peg, you can see like the pegs 1 and 2 there, kind of in the center bottom there. 1 represents where the piece is on the board, and 2 represents where it can move. So they all start with that configuration, but facing forward. So essentially, you can always move 1 space forward by default, and all the pegs that you add allow your piece to move in different ways. So if you add a peg in front of that 2 peg, you can move 2 spaces forward. You can't move both. You just move one or the other. It kind of like moves instantly to that space. And if you add a peg in the corner, you jump diagonally, like you jump a space. And you could add a peg right next to the center peg diagonal, and then you would be able to move 1 space diagonal. Essentially, the grid of holes on your piece kind of match up to the board itself. And for most people, this is really intuitive. And I think once you get it, it's definitely really intuitive. But I would say maybe 1 in 3, maybe 1 in 5 people have problems with this. Like they're like, oh wait, I don't understand. How does this work? And that's a thing that I'm struggling with the tutorial. So I'll talk about that a little bit too. So I like to think about ideas. This idea, I like to talk about ideas. I like to think about ideas. I have ideas. I had a game idea a day project in 2016. And I was attempting essentially to come up with a new game idea every day for the whole year of 2016. I did not come anywhere near succeeding, but I mean, there were some months where I think I had like 40 game idea entries. I did relax my definition of game idea. I think like at the beginning of the project, I wanted it to really be like, oh, a new game, like a game that you could play. No, I didn't have to like come up with all the rules for the game or anything, but like a new idea for a game. And by the time I came up with this idea, you know, it was enough for me to have like a new mechanic or, you know, a lot of times to rethink about a previous idea that I thought was really interesting. And so I would, you know, essentially expand on that previous interesting idea. And I think that was really, you know, I think that's a useful way to go about that project because looking back, the games that I think are most promise, had a lot more entries, right? So, for instance, this idea, the Eigenstate / Thrive idea, I think maybe, I don't know, I probably wrote about it, I don't know, maybe like 12 times that year, and then many, many times since then. So that's part of where all these different ways to play come from, is all those different ideas. And I mean, I have, you know, as a result of this project, which I have kind of attempted to keep going since then, you know, I have way more game ideas than I could ever possibly make. So I also like really like learning new games and really like thinking about new game ideas and stuff. And you know, this is a book that I actually own. It's on my shelf, the Classified Encyclopedia of Chess Variants. What's really interesting about it is that it is a second edition of the Encyclopedia of Chess Variants by the same author. And what he did in this book is basically like reorder them all so that they're classified. They're in classifications. So you know, all the games that are played on a hexagonal board are lumped together. And that's just, I mean, it's so interesting. I actually, you know, I reach for this book occasionally when I'm like, oh, you know, are there chess variants that have this feature that I am, you know, wondering about making a game with? And I'll go and look at this book, and there'll be like 20 of them or something, and it's just fascinating. I looked this week when I was kind of putting this slide together. I've been thinking a lot lately about a 3D version of Thrive, and I have thought about that before. But it's sort of like in the category of like 3D chess. Like that's going to be like a, you know, super nerdy pastime. And but so on a whim, I just opened it to the 3D chess variants page, or you know, pages. There's like a chapter on them, and they're way more than I thought there were. So you know, you have your standard Star Trek 3D chess, but actually predating that by quite a significant margin. Is like an 8x8x8 grid, which, as you can imagine, is a lot more spaces than the 3D chess in Star Trek actually only had 64 spaces, exactly like a traditional chessboard, and is not a full 3D volume of space so much. Anyway, that's a whole side thing. I don't know why I was talking about that. Anyway, I had like 312 ideas in 2016. This was just one of them, and at the time, I was playing a lot of this game, The Duke. So this is really where it came from. The Duke has that same mechanic where the piece itself, like that footman piece, for instance, is represented by there's a 5x5 grid on the piece, and the center space in that grid has a little like piece icon. I guess it's like a pawn icon, and then in the Duke, there are different icons that can appear in the grid around it. So the footman there has little circle icons, and that means that it can move into that space. So the footman can move forward, left, right, or down, or backwards rather. And what's interesting about the Duke is that, you know, each of these pieces has their moves telegraphed on it. But then when you move, you actually flip the piece over, and it'll have slightly different moves on it. So if I remember right, the footman has diagonal moves on the other side. I can't remember exactly, but and then the Duke there has those arrows to the left and the right. That means that it can actually slide like more than one space to the left or the right. But the actual rules for the Duke, while they are still chess-like, involve dragging your pieces. Dragging? That's all right. Picking your pieces from a bag. which I felt was kind of a random. It makes it too not chess. I mean, it's not chess-like in that you get these random pieces. So you can obviously play with variants. We used to play where we'd like pick out 5 or 6 pieces or something, and then both players have those pieces available, and you could like choose which one to put on the board. But actually, there's a lot of that kind of leads to more brain burn, right? So it's a pretty intense strategy game other than this random draw, but it can kind of you can definitely win or lose based on which one you drew out of the bag. So it had that flaw. And at the this other game, Onitama, had, I believe, released in Japan, where it's from, but not yet come to the US. And as a result, it had kind of a long time where it was available in Japan, but like totally unavailable here because it had been picked up by a publisher, but wasn't yet available. And so as a result, if you go to the Board Game Geek page for Onitama, there's just a lot of homemade versions of this game. I mean, it's a very simple game to make. There's only 5 pawns. One is slightly larger than the other. It's a 5x5 grid. And then you've got cards with the movement on them. And so on your turn, you have 2 cards that you can pick from. You can move any of your pieces. So in this case, if blue was moving, they can move their pieces like the elephant or the dragon. And then once they do, they swap out the type of movement that they use, the elephant perhaps, for one that's in the center. So then they would take the crane. And their opponent then can either move like the rabbit or the ox, and then they would get the elephant. And so basically, whatever move you take is the move that you're going to give to your opponent after their next move. So super fascinating, that mechanic, I think, and it's also very simple game, pretty elegant. You can capture your opponent's pieces, but you can also win by moving your large pawn to the other player's center home row. So there's kind of 2 ways to win. And I was very influenced by like the fact that this game had this 5x5 grid on the pieces could move, and the Duke had those 5x5 grids. And I just felt like you didn't have enough control over what moves you could sort of telegraph. And so my idea was essentially that you would be able to choose which spaces you could move to. So this would evolve over time. Like each piece would change how it could move over the course of the game. And this is a very close-up view of this final. This is like the injection molded version of the game piece. So within a couple weeks, I had spent I think 2 weekends in my buddy Lloyd's garage with his drill press, and we actually made a board as well. You can see that wooden board there. It was beautiful for maybe 2 weeks or something, and then it got kind of a nice curvature to it, as wood projects that are thin like that do. So it's pretty useless now. But it was a beautiful set, and it was a lot of drilling, manual positioning of these little wooden pieces under the drill press, and then drilling, and a couple afternoons, and I had a prototype. And it kind of looked like this. I guess it didn't kind of look like this. It looked like this. I had purchased the pegs from Amazon, so there's just some cribbage peg retailer. They weren't that cheap. I want to say it was $20 for 3 bags of cribbage pegs, and that was definitely enough for a couple games. I think a couple versions of the game would you could play with this with that number of pegs. But of course I only had this one prototype initially. So I just needed the final rules, right? I had all these ideas for how it could work because I'd been thinking about it for weeks. But when I finally got it, when I started playing some of the ideas, none of them were clear standout winners. Most of my ideas used what I kind of liked, this idea that when you captured a piece, you would take the pegs out of it, and those would be your points. And I still think that's kind of fun. It's kind of an interesting mechanic, but I never quite got a version of the game where I felt that was elegant. The point counting just always was kind of dumb, and the game would end in a very arbitrary way if you just had a point goal. If that was the what you were playing to. It would always end with a capture, but then like it was never like it never felt good when you ended the game. And here are some early playtests. There's Ben Gardner on the left and Patrick Leader. Some of our, Twin Cities, staples. Ben and I were testing a 4x4 game there, like seeing if that felt good. I think it wasn't set on the 6x6 really. It just was kind of like that's how many pieces I made. And I did later try an 8x8, and that felt fine too. There have been a lot of different versions tried. These were both in April of 2016. But again, like I said, this didn't feel like, none of these playtests felt like right. They didn't feel like they were the version of the game. Around this time, I came up with the name. Like I thought, Eigenstate. So Eigenstate is sort of from quantum mechanics. Like it's the state of a particle. So you can either know it's a vector, or you can know its position. You can't really know both. And I only loosely understand this, so I'm probably butchering, how this actually works. But so it has this interesting meaning that sort of deals with quantum fluctuations and states of quantum particles. And so I was like, oh, that's a cool term. So I kind of gave it that name. And I made some fun, like, this is, I don't know if this, you can't really call this an icon or a brand or anything, but like, the name spelled out in the pieces. And then someone pointed out to me that superposition has basically the same meaning in quantum mechanics, and it's like such a better name for a board game, superposition. But I that was much later after we'd actually renamed it Thrive. So again, the reception was kind of lukewarm. Like no one who played it was like, "This is amazing." Everybody thought it was super interesting, and I think that like a lot of people that I play with are board game designers and are like, "Ooh, yeah, I definitely can see how there's a game in here." Like like everybody's interested in like how could this work, and talking about that. And you can see like here is a photo with like there's different colored pieces in there, right? And so what do those other colored pegs do? I think in this particular version, they let you move infinitely in that direction, if I remember right, but I'm not 100% sure. And yeah, the end game position especially was like just kind of felt meh to most people. So I actually put this game away for about a year. And I was doing Maker Faire in 2017, and I was mostly showing off the game in the like upper middle there. That's a game called Puzzle Prison, and which I never released, but I made for essentially mobile VR. So it was kind of like you put it in Google Cardboard, or that I think my headset there is like an Oculus. Oh shoot, what was it even called? Their Oculus mobile version, which I think was the Samsung Gear. Yeah, that's right, Samsung Gear. So yeah, I had made that VR version, and I was kind of showing it around different places, and I decided, I should show it at Maker Faire. And I didn't want to just have like tablets on the table, I wanted to bring something physical. So I thought, I'll pull out this board game Eigenstate that I was working on. And, after setting up the table, I knew that there were going to be people coming up asking how you play, and I didn't want to give them a 20-minute rules explanation or even like a 5-minute rules explanation. So kind of off the cuff, I came up with something that's very close to the existing rules. I thought, okay, let's get rid of this whole peg counting thing entirely. You just land on your pieces, opponent's pieces, and remove them from the board, just like chess, and you just want to get them down to the one piece remaining. And people kept coming back to play throughout the day. It was very popular. I think I had one guy who came back like 3 times. There was, I think, somebody who came back and brought their friend with them, like wanting to play against their friend. Throughout the day, it was pretty busy. The VR was popular too. Obviously, it always is. But this was it was pretty successful, I think, as a game to show. Here's Scott Gaff. I don't know if you expected to see yourself in this slide, Scott. I feel like I should switch over to the Twitch stream, but then everyone would see it. So I have no idea if there are questions happening, and I apologize. I'll have to answer them all at the end. Because obviously all I can see is this picture of myself, so that's not something I want to look at. But yeah, so anyway. The next time I really pulled it out, I think, was Protospiel 2018. Maybe I played it, between Maker Faire and Protospiel. I definitely had renewed interest in it after Maker Faire. Given how many people were excited about it. I think that didn't last super long though. I remember that by the time Protospiel rolled around, I brought the game, but I never pulled it out. I would not have pulled it out if Adam hadn't actually asked if I brought a game. So this is Adam and another Martin actually playing the game, and we had played a game that both of them designed before this. There were three of us, left. It was kind of really late at night at Protospiel, and we were playing each other's games, and we played one of each of theirs, and they looked at me and said, "Did you bring a game?" And I said, I did, but I didn't pay the $20 to be a designer. I just paid to get in and play a playtest. So it doesn't matter. And they kind of insisted, and I said, okay, fine. And I paid the $20 and pulled out this game. And it's just a 2-player game. And they played it, and they were both really effusively positive about it. Adam was pretty into it, and said, I might want to think about publishing this game. And he was drinking beer, so I didn't want to hold him to it. But a few days later, he was still into it, and so he wanted to publish it. This is an early kind of mock-up he made of what it might look like. Just kind of riffing on the idea that maybe it would be a koi pond. He didn't really love the name Eigenstate, so I was gonna maybe say he had this. He had a really great thing that he said about themes. Oh, here, it's fun. You can probably see this. A little take a break. I'm supposed to be looking away from the screen. So Adam thinks that theme, and I'm going to butcher this, so apologies, Adam, if you're listening to this. He said that theme should sort of enhance or bring a new audience to the game. And so currently, the existing theme was essentially, quantum mechanics, very geeky. Probably not a lot of audience that is only attracted to quantum mechanics, although I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute, more about that. And that he thought, a more calming theme, a more meditative theme might actually fit the game in a better way. And I totally resonated with that. I love the koi pond idea. We talked a lot about different names. It took me a while to come around from not calling it Eigenstate, but obviously, it was Adam was paying for it. I was happy to let him, sort of take over. And to his credit, he didn't have to give me a say at all, but he was very involving of me in the process, which I think is not something that every designer gets when their game is published. A lot of games, I hear stories about games that are essentially, the publisher says sure and takes them, and they sign a contract, and then the game designer really has no involvement after that. And the game comes out, and maybe there are whole rules that have changed. Maybe there's just balancing stuff that's happened. But the designer maybe knew about that happening, or maybe didn't. And in this case, Adam was, keeping me in the loop pretty much the whole way. And, I felt like I got input, and it was really an awesome experience for me, because I had never done this before. I'd never published a board game. I've been, making board games my whole life, probably. Actually, the first published board game that I ever worked on in high school, a friend and I got really into this game, Terrace, which is another 2-player abstract strategy game, also featured on Star Trek, oddly enough. So if you haven't played Terrace, it's kind of it's a little chess-like, but it's on this board that's a chessboard, but it's terraced. It's kind of got these different tiers from the corners down to the other corner. You'd have to see it. I didn't include a picture of that here at all. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, so we were making our own variants of Terrace. We like to just make up different ways to play with the pieces. And there was a Terrace Times newsletter that you could subscribe to, and we had subscribed to that. And they always published a variant in the back, and we sent in some variants, and they published them. So that was kind of fun. And I don't know if that really counts as being published, but it was like seeing my name in print, right? Like that was kind of neat. So yeah, we came up with over maybe approximately 50 names, and I made a spreadsheet and we rated them on different categories. We both liked the koi pond thing quite a bit. Thrive as a name was definitely on that list, and it was I don't feel like it was anybody's like first pick. You know, it was this is a solid game. This is a solid name for the game, but it's kind of what we settled on as you know, feeling, I don't know, good. You know, it felt like a good name, and it wasn't like too polluted. There is like a video game called Thrive, I think, but it may not have never released. I can't remember. Anyway, Adam started making these 3D printed copies of the game. He actually had a 6x6 board also printed, like on these. He really liked my cloth game board, which I had made out of like a T-shirt or something. I mean, it was pretty terrible. But he had these like printed on at like a handkerchief printing place or something, and they were so awesome. I was like, oh man, you got to give me one of these. And I really liked his 3D printed pieces as well. Coincidentally, I had. I'm going to get into this here. I'll just look back and forth. So I had gone in on a 3D printer with a friend right before that Protospiel, actually. So I had been doing some 3D printing. And so when Adam started making these sort of like soap-like, just like rounded rect versions of the game, I was like, oh yeah, I can make those. So then I made a couple of sets too. And then you know, I got one of these 6x6, you know, cool looking handkerchiefs from him, and I had a cool set too, I think. So then eventually he iterated on it a little bit and made this like floral pattern. It just like raised a little bit from it, from the, you know, the little puck-like things that we've been using. And I never acclimated to his pegs. I just never liked his pegs. They were, I think, hand painted on the top there, like red, and they just look like matchsticks to me. I just like the pegs I got so much better. But I think they were probably a lot more expensive. I'm not sure. So one of the things that I don't know if I have a slide for this or not, but in the bottom middle of that row, I don't know how big this screen is for you, but you can kind of see, I was experimenting with like pieces that you could actually open up and you could store the pegs inside the pieces. And I did make a version of that was pretty cool, but it was so tedious to get the pegs in and out. I mean, it wasn't hard. It was super fast, but like then you'd end up like kind of, you had all 6 of your pieces you had to like open up to take the pegs out. So it was kind of annoying setup and teardown of the game. Here's an in-progress print. So they just look so cool, like half printed, because they're all hollow inside. That was kind of fun. I embellished on Adam's like raised flower design a little bit. I added these edges, like so you can kind of see my. It's kind of a brick-like pattern on the sides, and it did add something. It looked pretty cool, but it was a lot of work, and it made me realize like I am not a 3D modeler. And I mean, I like Adam's just fine. But I think like we both kind of agreed, or maybe I just thought, you know, this really needs a professional. And enter Colin Cody Waters. So Colin I knew from the VR meetup and had been pretty impressed with his some of his work, and asked him if he was interested at all in working on this like 3D, you know, on a physical model for a board game. And I don't think it was something he'd ever done before. He was kind of like, okay, yeah, I could probably do that. And the top was, I think, his first sort of attempt at the piece, which has like a lot of coloring. You can see like coloring on it. And I think like there was a point where we thought, oh, maybe we'll be able to print on the piece. We don't know like what exactly all is possible. But I think like obviously that would be more expensive. And so then we moved to the bottom. This kind of just a single color. And, you know, obviously this looks gorgeous already, I think. I mean, these are just 3D renders, but everything he produced looked so good. And he was also doing these pegs as well. So there's a couple different peg designs there. One that's more like a rose, and one that's kind of this like, rounded guy. Both look really gorgeous. And I don't know if I go into this later. I meant to, but I don't think I have a slide for it. The peg design that we ended up with is basically from the manufacturer. So the manufacturer had a lot of problems with the peg production. And I don't have a slide for that either. But essentially, they came back a couple times and said, hey, I don't know if we can do this. And after giving a quote and saying that they could do it. So now it's been so long, I'm not even sure if that's the same manufacturer that we ended up using. Here's a final mock-up from Colin. And you can see some of Shirley's artwork in his mock-up. So he just like put that into whatever 3D modeling program he's using, and was putting this piece design on there. And you can see the actual piece below. So I mean, it's pretty similar. Like that's basically what we used. We used Colin's design. So it looks really good, I think. So a little bit more about Shirley. Adam had just contacted her on Behance. So he just found this artist on Behance, and he sent the link to me and said, what do you think of this art? And I was just like, oh my gosh, this looks so amazing. Yeah, let's do that. So he reached out to her, and she sounded like she was into it. And this piece in particular, you can see the water just looks so great. Like we wanted something like that for the board. And I just thought, oh, that's so great. Yeah, here's kind of a detailed view of it. And here is the back of the box art. So this is the art that she did for the back of the box, and you can see the water in there, in the clouds as well, like kind of similar line style. And then here's the final version of the board. So definitely you can see that influence of the water and all the little koi fish, and it just looks so gorgeous. I didn't actually say this, but like, so part of the reason the theme of the game is actually not really like this. It's not so much koi as it is that you are playing lotus flowers. So you have a lotus flower, and part of the reason that we really love the lotus flower theme is that lotus flowers have rhizomes, which are essentially like underwater roots that will pop up elsewhere in the pond. So like you might look at two flowers and they're actually the same plant because there's like a rhizome connecting them beneath the water. And so the premise is that, all 6 of your pieces, you're just one plant, like thriving in this pond. And you're trying to kind of like push your other plants, your other, competition out of the pond. But you don't want them to die entirely. You're just reducing them to one flower. That's the like generously nice version of what you're doing, I guess. Shirley also did this great artwork for all the cards. So these cards are part of the expansion that I'll talk about in a little bit. And yeah, just so great. So I went with Adam and Adam's Apple Games to Gen Con in 2018. I'd been to Gen Con a bunch of times. Gen Con is the largest U.S. Board game convention. And so I think it's in Indianapolis. And it's a great weekend. It's like 4-day weekend, and there's just like hundreds of board game publishers there showing off their stuff. And there's also events where you can play a ton of new games, and just it's like, I don't remember how many thousands of people, maybe 40,000 people, something like that. I might be exaggerating. It might be 20,000, something like that. It's a lot of people and a lot of games, and it's just a great weekend. And you, as a publisher, you can sign up to do demos of your games. Sort of there's different halls, and there's one hall that's basically reserved for that. So it's not quite the size of the expo hall, but it's like a good third of it or something. It's a very big hall that's all just demos all day, all the time. So as a publisher, you say like you schedule time slots. So we scheduled time slots for Thrive, and people showed up and they played it. I mean, I think we probably had 20 people a day or something playing the game on 2 or 3 different time slots. And one or two people showed up, and at this time in 2018, still, it was still called Eigenstate, so the name was Eigenstate on the in the convention program or whatever. And we had a few math folks show up, and they were interested because of the name Eigenstate. So like we talked about theme drawing in an audience. Like there is an audience for math games specifically, and they I don't know. I wouldn't say that any of them were disappointed that it didn't really have math. Math wasn't a central part of the game, but or that it was actually the physics meaning of Eigenstate, because Eigenstate has like kind of two meanings. One is mathematics and one is physics, apparently. But so it was interesting to me. I think there were at least two groups, maybe three, that showed up for sort of mentioning Eigenstate as sort of the reason they'd come. But I think all of them played it anyway and still loved it, and or maybe not anyway. I mean, they showed up because they wanted to play a game. So we did Con of the North a little bit later that year, and not as far away. Con of the North is kind of our local board game convention. It's long running. I wouldn't say it's huge. Maybe a couple hundred people or something. And I did not know that Adam had this banner printed, but I was like, "What? That's amazing!" So this was kind of the first time I was like, "This feels really real." I mean, I guess like there were many times like that during this process. Parts of this slide didn't load. What? What the heck is this? Oh my gosh! Show it anyway. What? I reloaded. Oh, you piece of crap. Like, I just looked at this in the browser. Like, why isn't it working here? Alright, here's my page. It's working. Hopefully this isn't too terrible for everyone. Alright. Google is full screen. So this is kind of the hero image for the Kickstarter. This was the like banner image across the top, and if you go there now, this is the image that it shows. You can scroll down on the page to see the actual video from the Kickstarter, which Adam did have a nice video produced with like some animations of the koi pond. There's that little boat on the cover, and then the boat kind of floats through the pond a bit. That was pretty cool to see. And so the Kickstarter launched in March of 2019, and ran basically the whole month. I think we'd put it off a couple times at that point. Like I think we planned to launch it earlier, and there's always more to do. Like you could basically just put off a project like this forever because there's so many things. So the peg design there is nowhere near the final peg design. Like that, I think it was just like that's what we thought we could make, or thought we were going to make. This is obviously just like a 3D render of what we thought the box was going to look like. The box is actually square in the final version. This box dimension was kind of what we thought we were going to make at the time. Here's a little bit more detail about the Kickstarter offer. You're going to get these things: fabric game board, custom shaped peg and pieces. A little bit about what the game was. Here's more details about the exact what you're going to get. 80 premium wooden pegs, and it included a free Pond Life expansion, which I think that was kind of before the Kickstarter. Really, Adam and I had talked a ton about different things we would offer, different stretch goals, what kind of stuff we would want to include, and one of the things that came up repeatedly was like this idea of cards that had different like player powers on them. And so we had brainstormed a ton of different player powers. We definitely had already talked about this, but I don't know if it was like a surprise during the Kickstarter or if it was something that was pretty new to me. Like at the beginning of the Kickstarter, it was like, oh, everyone is going to get this expansion. So suddenly it went from being something like we had talked about abstractly to something that was like, oh yeah, we're definitely doing this. And I think we played some player power games, maybe like 2 or 3 or something, but not not enough that it was like play tested at all, for sure. When we launched the Kickstarter, Adam had done a great job, though, of sending out review copies, and there were a few really prominent, amazing reviews. Geek Dad was pretty effusively positive about it, and this review by local Nicholas Liam was just like, oh, he really likes this game. That's awesome. So he was really, he said he said, I'm giving Thrive a score of evolutionary. Yeah, it's a phenomenal tabletop experience. So yeah, I mean, just like both of these reviews, like we could have pulled out like probably half a dozen quotes from really good stuff, and there were probably 6 more reviews or something like that during the Kickstarter. None of them were negative. I mean, they were all none of them. Maybe the others weren't as positive as these two, but there were lots of good reviews, which was awesome. Obviously exciting for me. GDC was during that month. So one of the things, if you've never been to GDC, one of the features of GDC is that there's a tabletop area, and there's usually like, I think 6 games, maybe. I don't know. It probably varies year to year, but some number of games that have been brought for everyone at GDC to play. And so I just brought my game and plunked it down on a table and was like, hey, let's, I'll try and get people to play this. And it was very successful. I mean, like every time I showed up, I could find 2 people to play. Like, I think, everybody there works on games and wants to think about games. And if they're in the tabletop area, they obviously are self-selected for enjoying tabletop games. So yeah, it was pretty easy to get people to play. And, what's interesting though, is that I think there wasn't as much like so when you show someone VR for the first time, their mind is blown. They're like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing, and they're effusively positive about it. I don't want to overuse the word effusive, but I think that sometimes that's the reaction I get when showing Thrive to people. They're like, wow, this is so good, like this is really fun. No one at GDC had that reaction, and I feel like it's like a everyone at GDC is sort of stealing themselves, for like everything you see at GDC is like an amazing idea or like amazing artwork or it's an amazing game that you've followed forever. So I think everyone is like jaded. I feel like that was the reaction. It was like everybody had kind of like oh yeah, that's a good game, or oh that's okay, cool, thanks. Like no one was like really positive about it, but I think I think there was good reaction. I brought a bunch of business cards with the Kickstarter on them, and I gave out, a couple hundred or something. So I think like, as guerrilla marketing goes, like I think it was fairly successful, I guess. I don't really know. It's hard to say, like how can I know how many people backed it from that? The Kickstarter was successful. We raised $24,000. It's not like a huge amount on Kickstarter, but it was decent. Like, 673 people are going to get the game. So that's, that feels like a lot to me. And it was enough to make the game. Like we're happy with that. And that year, 2019, I continued to bring the game pretty much everywhere with me. Here's some local folks at IGDA on the left. There's at Joe Sensors back in the time when we went to the bar after our meetings. On the right, there's my cousin and my niece playing the game. Like, at my Thanksgiving family reunion. It was kind of fun. Here was at an after party at IO Festival during the summer. It's Nate Yorchuk, another local game developer. And I have no idea who the other 2 people are in this photo. I made a Lego version just for fun. I'm a pretty big Lego nerd, adult fan of Lego. And so I made this Lego version over the course of a weekend, I think. This is kind of an expanded version of, there's actually a Lego chess set. And I was like, you know what, I can make a Thrive version out of this. But it had to be a little bit bigger, so I had to buy 2 of the Lego chess sets and then combine them together. And I kind of reused the design of the like compartments, so like underneath the board is the compartment where you store the pieces. You only need like half of the board to store all the pieces. But this is kind of fun. I keep it set up. Gen Con 2019, by that time we had this, this beautiful artwork. We had, I think, a better table presence. Here's the Adam's Apple Games team, demo team for Gen Con. These are great people, just really nice. So yeah, the table kind of looked like this in the booth on the left, and then on the right is that demo hall. So you can see a little bit more of the hall here, and we brought in the big banner for every time we were doing. Actually, I think it was just up all the time, and there were, I think, 3 tables like this of Adam's Apple Games games, and so there was a banner at either end of the table with a different game on it. And we had 3D printed those little lotus flower, I guess, cups. They're not something you get from the Kickstarter, but we, basically said, like, yeah, we can link everyone to the design of this. Like, it's just a thing you can download off Shapeways or whatever it is, and print your own. And they're kind of nice for holding the pegs while you're playing the game. I also got to go to Essenspiel with Adam's Apple Games, and that was a bucket list item. So Essenspiel is the largest board game convention in the world. So not the U.S. This is in Germany, and whereas Gen Con is like 20 or 40,000 or something like that, Essen is over 100,000. I can't remember exact numbers, but it's a lot. It's like quite a bit bigger. There's like 7 expo halls, I think, that are all full of board game publishers and retailers. And yeah, it's a really cool time. Just and from all over the world. So there's like a pretty big contingent from the east as opposed to the west. And yeah, it's just really neat. Lots of games. Definitely would love to go back to that again. So here's kind of our table present. So we had the rule sheet kind of finalized or printed up at that time. So just a really nice presentation, I think. So finally getting into the digital version. I've been working on that, I don't know, maybe a year at this point, like quite a while. But always back burner, side project kind of thing. It's definitely getting close, and I've been trying to focus on it a little bit more the last couple weeks, as the game is starting to feel more like the physical game is starting to feel more imminent. And here's like the first scene of the tutorial, and I want to switch over and show actually a video of it in action, and you'll see why in a second. So hopefully you can hear this. This is the part I'm a little bit worried about. So if you can't hear this audio, shoot, I don't know how you're going to tell me. Ping me in Discord if you can't hear it, I guess, in 30 seconds.
Unfortunately, I cannot hear anything. Unfortunately, we cannot hear anything.
Oh no! So you're not hearing it at all?
Yeah. So what you want to do is that you can stream that specific window, and that'll do it.
Can you not see the video either?
Oh, we can see the video, but if you stream it,
you can see the video.
Yeah. But if you stream that specific window, it'll capture the audio.
All right, we're gonna try it. So I'm gonna stop streaming my desktop.
Yes.
Sure, it went great. I think. I mean, who knows? And I'm gonna share just that way. Sorry, everyone.
Nope. This is.
I'm sure what you missed was not important.
Just the intro of Martin going, well, yeah, this is Thrive. And...
It was. I was talking about making it in Unity. That was pretty much it.
Exactly.
That's interesting. I'm not actually seeing. I'm not seeing that window in Discord. Like, well, come on, Discord.
Yeah, hit play on it and see if that helps capture, because it'll be active at that point.
Well, I wonder if it's because it's full screen. The window itself is full screen, so I'm going to unfull screen it.
There you go. That might help.
We'll see. Yes, in fact, that made it show up. So, try this. All right, So I'm streaming that. Let me tell me if you can't hear this.
Watch stream.
Sounds good. Hey, tell me again.
No.
Peter, can you hear it?
Still can't hear it. No.
No?
I thought this is the fix. You could.
Okay, I'm gonna try. Okay, because you can't hear it, but I can hear it this time.
Okay.
I'm gonna try and just like I'm gonna repeat what is being said.
You're gonna
This might go horribly.
Oh,
we'll see. We'll see how this goes.
I believe in you. Go.
All right. So Unity allows you to publish the game to a bunch of different platforms. I'm currently planning Android and iOS. It could do desktop in the future. I'm considering all kinds of things. There's a start game. I pressed the start game button, but I canceled out of the existing game. Right in that way, I have this game setup screen. I can choose to play against the human or the AI opponent. Break again. Currently, the human means against someone on the same device. It's like same device multiplayer. I would love to do, online multiplayer. I don't know if that's going to happen. So you tap on a piece, and it'll show you your movement. Just right away in the game, you only have the ability to move forward one. When you tap again, then you can add your peg. So it kind of does this top-down view. I'm considering adding a zoom from that screen. You can always click back and see the whole screen again. And you finish your turn, and then we can watch the AI take its move. It happens pretty fast, and I'm considering making it happen a little slower, or maybe highlighting the last move. I haven't really decided what to do there. This is showing off the camera movement. You can drag up and down to change the camera. Left and right rotates around the table. So here I'm going to show off the augmented reality mode. So there's the AR button up there in the right-hand corner, and immediately it shows the standard kind of plane detection for augmented reality. So this is covering the entire screen in the plane. There's a little bit of Z fighting happening. So basically it positions it, but it's not necessarily guaranteed to be on top of the plane. So I think I want to add a Z for it as well, so you can raise it up and down. But you can't actually see what's behind the plane yet, so it's a little bit weird. So in this, I made it smaller than the actual game board, so I did it again. So I'm changing the scale again and bigger, and then hit done again. So now you can see it's basically the same game, or basically the same size as the existing game. So this is the 3D printed version of the game. So it's a little bit. It's not the one that I just got. I recorded this demo maybe a couple weeks ago. But so I'm moving the phone around basically. This is showing my actual table, or it's I'm getting up close to the actual table, but showing this digital game on top of it. So here I moved the piece, and now I'm going to add pegs to it by clicking on the piece. And this kind of illustrates one of the UX issues that I have with the AR mode, in that when I tap on the piece to add a peg, it doesn't really tell me which one I've tapped on. So I could have tapped on one of the other pieces after I tapped on the piece to add a peg, but it wouldn't have worked because, okay, now I'm showing off the piece capture. I don't know if you saw it. It happened really fast, but it does a little X over the piece if you can capture it. So here I'm showing off side by side, the physical game and the digital version, kind of side by side, the augmented reality version. And that was it. That was me showing off the game. And then so this was actually a video I made for mini demo. So you can see I made this little here's a bunch of URLs and stuff. Next time I have. Okay, let's be done with that. So I'm going to stop streaming the video so I can go back to streaming. Oh my gosh, how do I stop streaming? And then I'm going to scream. I'm going to scream. How are we doing for time? What time is it? Who knows? It's 8:30. Okay. All right. So, so that was the digital version. So I hope that was good. I don't know even what I was going to say now. I showed off the. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so here's some features that the game has. It has an AI. It's not amazing. It doesn't look ahead, so it's just looking at the current board state and saying like, yeah, what's my best move from this state. It's written in such a way that it absolutely could loop ahead and play out a game. That's sort of how you do real AI, right? Like the Monte Carlo style, is you play out a full game and then you see who won, and then you keep track of what move you made, and then you play out another game with a different move, see who won. You play out another game, and you just keep doing that. Or maybe you don't play out a full game, like just play out a few moves ahead and see if you're up or like the game is better. But you essentially do that, enough times, and you have a sense of which move is better than the other move. What this is doing is just looping through all the possible moves, looking at some weightings. So like, does this move capture another piece? Does this move protect one of your existing pieces? And is that a piece that's being threatened? That kind of thing. And so it makes this weighted list. And so it is theoretically possible to like make it dumber by just not taking the best move that it sees, but like the slightly less best move. And so I'm planning on doing that before release. I'm not planning on going the full Monte Carlo before release, because I think it's a pretty big leap from where it is right now. Even though it is totally written in such a way that it could do that, I honestly don't know how fast it's going to be. So the AI is completely written in C#. When I've worked on AIs before, they've always been in a lower level language, like just a C or C++. But that would be even more work from Unity. So it's just that I haven't done it before. I know it's theoretically possible. So it's also got this tutorial. I've gotten some really good feedback on the tutorial this week, in fact. So I will definitely be changing that up a bit. I think probably tomorrow or Friday. For one thing, it kind of teaches you about the piece movement after it prompts you to learn kind of how to move the piece and how to add your pegs. So you don't really know why you're doing it until that point. It's got some statistics and that kind of stuff built in, and achievements. And I'm going to show this next screen. I'm thinking of achievements as kind of the poor man's campaign mode. So right now, all the achievements are like win a piece with this configuration. So I haven't gotten into this at all, but there are some cards that are part of another part of the expansion, the Pond Life expansion. And these cards show, and I should have taken a screenshot of this. The cards show different setups for the game. And so you can basically position your pieces in different ways, and you can position your pegs inside the pieces in different ways. And so those are just starting setups that you could use those cards to randomize, or you could just use them as ideas for like, hey, here's how to play differently. And so the AI, or the game, the digital version of the game also has those programmed in, and you can easily change them on that game setup screen. But here in the achievements screen, you can just say try now, and it'll let you try a game against the AI with the setup that is specified in the specific achievement. And so there'll be, I think there's like 8 different setups, So I think that's 8 times 8 are the combinations. Like, so there's quite a few achievements just with all those different setups. And I think that's just giving you more to do, like in the app. So I think board game apps have this problem in that you're sort of you have the app and you're like, okay, now I can play against the AI anytime I want, and like that's exactly as exciting as playing the game is, but it doesn't really give you a reason to keep going in and playing the game again. And I, for one, find board game conversions that have a campaign mode to be a lot more compelling. So usually the campaign has like some loose story around it, but it sort of gives you different games to play in sequence, saying like, oh, you beat that, now you beat this next thing that's even harder, or maybe just slightly different. And so in this case, it's all just different. So yeah, this is kind of a poor man's game. So I did, like I said, I got a manufactured copy this week from Adam. I went to his house to like pick one up. They're not shipping to the U.S. backers just yet, but soon. And this is all the stuff you're going to get in it. So the Kickstarter edition includes the Pond Life expansion and a fabric bag, which is not included in the retail version. The fabric bag, I have to say, I was kind of like, on the fabric bag, but it's really nice. It's a nice bag, and it does fit the whole game. You can put the whole game in there and like take it with you. That's pretty freaking cool. There's the Pond Life expansion in the middle. It's its own box, and I'm going to explode that now. So here's all the stuff in the Pond Life expansion. It has these cards, and this is where I said I was going to talk about this. Each of these cards has a variable power. So like that Swan card right on the front has place a peg. That's the power. And then the number on the card is the number of pegs that you place after taking that special ability. So if you use your special ability on your turn, maybe you have 2, you play with 2 per player or something like that. You could do it like Onitama, where you switch them up, or you could do it where you have 1 ability the whole game, more like a Santorini style. And then, but after you take your ability, then actually I think the idea is that this augments or changes the number of pegs by the number, if I remember right. So like if it says 1, you only get to place 1 peg. If it says 0, oh no, it is the number of pegs that you get to place, because that placing a peg is super powerful, because you can play that ability before you make your move. So in Thrive, it's very important that the order that you move your piece and then you add pegs. If you could add pegs before you move your piece, that's super powerful. Essentially, like that's like saying, "Oh, I'm in range of an enemy, I can take it." Like, whereas you don't have to set up your pegs ahead to attack your enemy, which is the normal. That's how you normally have to take it. Yeah, so that makes sense that it's 0 for add a peg special power. Anyway, some of the other thing that it comes with is some wooden rocks, like just little rocks that are just blocking. They're blockers essentially, and the way that they can be moved around with these special powers. So and they all move slightly differently. They have different movement, and some of them push pieces and do other things like that. Yeah, each of the powers is different, and I have not programmed these into the app. You can see the cards on the right that have the setup. That was easy to program in. These special powers, maybe less so. I do want to eventually get to it. I don't know. I mean, it sort of depends on whether the app makes sense. Who knows? Or how much free time I have. I think it would be fun to have them all programmed in, because I would definitely play these expansion abilities more than I have already, which is probably like once each or something like that. I mean, it's not very many times. Even though I've played hundreds of games of Thrive, I have not played hundreds of games with the Pond Life expansion. So that's really all I got. That's my talk. You can pre-order the game. I think like the retail like version is not going to ship until like October, because we want the backers to get their copies first. But if you want to be one of the first to get them and you didn't back the Kickstarter, you can click that link and check out and do that. There is a notification form up on my website on abstractpuzzle.com/thrive, where you can get notified when the app launches. And here are just some ways to contact me. I'm going to flip over now to the Twitch stream and see if Test Flight Me Too, please. Yeah, go sign up yourself. Chester's.com. Check it out. Oh, the Test Flight. Yeah, the Test Flight link. It has already been posted in Slack, but I'm hesitant to post it just right up in this public Twitch stream. I don't know about that, but I'm happy to give it to you. Everyone who's watching this, absolutely, I want to get the Test Flight. If you're not on Slack, I will get it to you in some way, but I don't know how. So maybe on Discord. I don't know. Put me on. Yeah. You can stream my face, I guess. Although it's super dark in my room. Yeah, I don't know. Are there any questions? Does anyone have any questions? I don't know. Everyone at GDC is jaded. That is absolutely true fact. People are jaded. I think people are just jaded in general. I agree. The art is awesome. and it's so it's all surely gone. She is incidentally working on another Adam's Apple Games project. So actually, and in fact, we've already seen it, talked about it at IGDA. I think, was it like 2 months ago, Charlie talked about his game, For Humors, and Shirley is doing the art for Four Humors as well. And that came after doing the art for Thrive. So yeah, she's just so good.
Looks like Scott is asking.
Yeah, sweet.
Scott is asking, why are there different colored pegs?
Oh yeah. So you technically don't need different colored pegs. You could play the game with one single color of pegs. I think that there's a little bit of cognitive, usability in having the center peg be a different color, because it represents fundamentally a different thing. It represents where the piece is on the board, as opposed to the other pegs, which represent where the piece can move. So it does help, I think, like just a little bit your brain to have them be different colors. And so the game does ship with different colored pegs just for the centers. So I think you get 14, even though you only need 12 of the different colored pegs. Those are coral. They're like a pinkish color in the box. But I personally, so like during the Kickstarter, you could sign up to get like a full set of coral, and you could sign up actually to get a full set of, I think, like 8 different colors. And the reason that I think that's awesome is that there are so many different games that you can play where a single player has a color, like they have their own color. So I didn't go into all these other games, but I'm going to be publishing them on my website someday. The first one, I'll just talk a little bit about the first one that I've played a few times, and I'm like probably the second most excited about. I mean, so the base game of Thrive, the rules as they're written in the box is definitely the simplest, easiest way to play, and it's just a very elegant game, I think. It's not super thinky, it's chess-like, but it's light. It's like lighter version of chess. I think a lot of people like that, that aspect of it. It's good for kids. I mean, kids of any age can play it. Okay, so the new version, I shouldn't say new. I mean, this is an old rule set, but one of the rule sets that I'm excited about is inspired by a game called Galcon, and there have been a lot of knockoffs of Galcon over the years. Galcon's a video game, and it's essentially you've got, you know what? I'm not going to go to the rules of Galcon. It's inspired by Galcon. Anyway, you start with a single piece that is filled with pegs of your color, and all the pieces on the board are neutral. It doesn't matter what the color of the pieces are, just the pegs, and the pieces are distributed around the outside of the board, and you only can move the one that you have filled with pegs, and it still moves like Thrive. So you move relative to the center peg. But then when you land next to another piece, you can attack that piece by moving pegs from your piece into that piece. And you can attack multiple pieces if you land next to multiple pieces. If the other piece that you landed next to has your opponent's pegs in it, you basically, they just knock each other out. So every peg that you move into that piece, that piece will lose a peg of your opponent's. And that's the kind of Galcon rule set. And hopefully you move next to a piece that has less pegs than yours, and you eventually, oh sweet, I'm happy to send you the link. And then you, I don't know what your name is. CP Bonus? Cipones? I don't know. Anyway. So that's one of the variants. I think you can kind of imagine. Essentially, you want to take over all the pieces on the board. The important thing is that then you add a peg to every piece that you have a peg in already. So it's going to keep. Can you play with more than 2 players? Adam asks. So that's another thing that we released in the expansion, the Pond Life expansion. And you know what? I should give Adam credit. The Pond Life expansion rules all came from Adam. So even though I definitely contributed to these ideas and the basically Adam was the one that wrote up the expansion rules, and he gets design credit on those as well. Absolutely. And one of the things in the expansion, there's like 4 different things or 5 different things in the expansion. One of them is rules for 3 and 4 players, and so that was something that people were asking about during the Kickstarter. And that is also another totally different game. I mean, it's definitely a different game because there's no captures. So when you're playing with 3 players, you each have 4 pieces, and when we play with 4 players, you each have 3 pieces. And in the 4-player game, you each start in the corner, and the peg setups are slightly different too. But you could start with basically any peg setup. And the way that it works is you move, and then any piece that your pegs are pointing to, like they could attack them, you get to remove a peg from those. And so then it gets back to the your pegs that you've captured are your points, but essentially you play until I think someone's knocked out, or I forget exactly what the rules are. You play until, but that actually turned out to be really fun because the sort of like knocking your pegs out when you have captures, it gets tedious. Knocking the pegs out but not capturing the pieces, or not being allowed to capture the pieces, actually makes for like a really tight board. Like and it's a different game. It's different, and it plays differently and feels different, and is a way that you can play with 3 and 4 players. So yeah, it does play. It's pretty fun. Play until 10. I don't know what that means.
I think it means 10 pegs.
10 pegs? Oh, is that the rules? Okay, that might be the rules as they're written. I don't know. You could play it so many different ways you could play it. Until somebody has 10 pegs. I think that is actually the rules.
I mean, you could also, get the game and find out yourselves, because you could, get the
I
expansion.
could go grab it the other room.
Oh, I meant like the viewers at home could find out by playing the game.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I think actually what I didn't show in this putting this together, there's actually so much stuff I could have talked about that I didn't talk about. I mean, it's been a 4-year journey. We had I see your ideas there for 2 players sharing the 2 teams 2 on 2. We didn't print those rules, but absolutely that'd be a fun way to play. And I think we may have playtested that one. Another thing was that there were not 1 but 2 different print and plays for this game. One before the name change, and one sort of released with the Kickstarter that had more of the actual art on it. But I really liked that version of the print and play because it's like a black and white version of the art. Like it just really, Shirley's art just makes everything better, and it just looks really good. And you can print it on just a black and white printer. Like it's a single sheet, and you cut out the pieces. And instead of having pegs, you literally just use a pencil to fill in where you're adding pegs to your pieces. So I mean, like you could laminate it and use like a dry erase or something. I mean, I am kind of amazed that I never thought of prototyping this game that way. And I don't remember how long it was before somebody had the idea. I think we were thinking about print and play before we realized that you could play it that way. Like, it's just kind of mind-blowing that, like, I went and, spent 2 weekends with a drill press. I could have just made some art and printed it out and play tested the game that way. Yeah. All right, well, I think I'm going to wrap it up. I mean, so we have, traditionally gone and, hung out on Discord and played some board games. That's the thing we could be doing right now. My voice is shot just because I've been talking for an hour and a half. But I'm sure I will see some of you on Discord. I'm going to let Peter wrap it up. Thanks, Peter, for emceeing tonight.
Thank you so much for being our presenter tonight, Martin. It's been a great pleasure being your MC. Applause for Martin. Applause. But yes, fabulous, guys. Goodness. It's been a great time chatting with you guys all again tonight. Good seeing you all. Let's go ahead and close out the stream. Oh, that's it. The slides are done. Right.
Slides are done.
That's it. Slides are done. I guess the last thing to say, the send off is that if you are interested, we might hop into the Discord. I unfortunately cannot. I have other things I have to go and work on. But but there is a Discord if you want to join us. Of course, the link is below. I'll actually pull up our Twitch stream here. Let's pull up our Twitch stream. Twitch. So
We'll meet up in the events chat room. Is that open? That's a public room, right?
No,
Events
that's not the
chat?
events one. No.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Why is Ryan in there?
Oh, is there? Hold on. How
I
is
think there's an events chat.
Yeah, no, there's a
That is,
Minneapolis
like,
and
so-
St. Paul room. Those are the two ones.
Oh, yeah, we could go on there.
Yeah. But if you want to join, there is a Discord link here. You can click on that and it'll pop up Discord. You can also check out our Slack if you want to join Slack. But we'll be hanging out. Those we're looking for to play a game will be hanging out in the Discord server. But that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Oh yes, always a great talk. But that's it for tonight, folks. I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. And we'll see you next Wednesday for the the Twin Cities playtest event. Oh yes, we will. They'll most likely be hanging out in like the Minneapolis or St. Paul room, one of the two rooms. They're named for just to have a room name. Oh, is the event chat public actually? The events. Oh, the events chat. Yes, the events chat, but not the event stage. That's a locked voice chat. You are correct. That's what it is, yes. Yeah, I'll show you guys here. So yeah, the event stage is locked, but the events chat is quite open. And it looks like they're going to be hanging out in the Minneapolis room. So, alright folks, have a great rest of your evening. We're going to be sending you off. Ending soon. Bye-bye.